Welcome to another high school preview, part of the Palmetto Dugout Show. I'm here with Coach Blake Barron from Lewisville High School. What's going on, Coach?
Nothing much. Mr. Stewart, I'm glad to be here, brother. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on here to talk about the Lewisville Lions a little bit. And so we'll start out. You had a great year last year. Made it to the Upper State Championship to play the Southside Christian against a really tough team. But talk about that a little bit. What kind of experience was that for your guys leading through that season to that game?
A lot of emotional ups and downs. You know, we played a really tough schedule last year. I think we ended up, I look back, I think we ended up playing 3 of the 5. If you include Southside Christian, we played 3 of the 5 state champions last year in all the different classifications. So early on, we got beat around a little bit, but we got better as the season went, and we got in the playoffs and made a run, and it was exciting. And I think it was that next step that we were talking about in trying to get our program back to what it has been in the past under Coach McMurray and Coach Keels, you know, with some state championships and some upper state championships and all. So I think it was the first step towards, you know, possibly getting back to our goal of hosting that trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. You ran into one of the best arms in the state. And we talked about this a little bit with Carson Bowman, and that the kid's a dude, and you've said that many times.
Listen, somebody asked me what I thought, and I said, he might be the best. There's no doubt in my mind, he's the best 8th grade pitcher I've ever seen in my life. He might possibly, by the end of it, be the best left-handed pitcher I've seen in my life. I mean, he was just unreal. I mean, he showed up, and what do you tell your kids? I mean, we're pumped, we're ready to play. I mean, you know, and he just like settles in, and he strikes out 13 kids in a row, and you just kind of throw your hands up like, "Don't worry, boys, it'll be over in a minute." Like, you know, we might have a chance when they have to pull him for his pitch count, but no, like he was phenomenal. I mean, he threw a major league slider that day against us when they came here, and it was something to watch. I was really impressed by him. I had heard from a lot of folks about him, and the word did not do any justice to what I witnessed. So I guess that's the old saying: the man or the myth is no match for the man, or whatever. I don't know. It was something to behold.
It's something you have to see for sure. I was able to see it a good bit of times last year, and it's great every time. And you just have to tell your kids, good luck. I mean, it is what it is at that point.
Yep.
Once you get to that part in the season, you're going to see some of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what that's what you want. Like we try to preach here, or we get the kids to buy into, like, we want to see people's best. You know, what are you really sitting around wanting to be mediocre all the time? You know, like, we want to see people's best arms. That's one of the great things about the way we can work our schedule is with the 2A programs around here. You know, they play a schedule similar to ours. So a lot of these teams we can catch in their bye weeks, and now we're seeing, you know, our Andrew Jacksons and our Bufords and our Chesterfields of 2A, we're seeing their best arms. Like, you know, last year we played Fort Mill in a series, in a Tuesday, Friday series. And, you know, they ended up playing for a 5A state championship. But, you know, we play them on Tuesday and turn around and play them on Friday, and we're seeing their best arms against our best arms. So, like, that's what I told the kids, you know, that's what you want to see, man. We want to see good pitching. Yeah. And let me tell you, he was as good as it gets at any classification, at any age level. He was as good as I've ever seen in high school baseball.
Yeah, he's going to have a great career in high school and college, and maybe later on in the pros if he can get there. So hopefully you'll see him this year late in the playoffs and get a little revenge there.
Well, listen, we're going to have to eat some Wheaties to get some revenge right now. He's, like I said, you know, all credit to him. We hope we see, you know, because that means that's good things for both of our programs, you know. And I think Coach Freeman, he does a phenomenal job with those kids up there. He's got a great coaching staff. We hope we see him because that's good for both of our programs. So, that's what we're banking on. That's what we're fighting for. And that's what we're, every day we go out, what we're preparing for.
Yeah. Which will lead me into what are your expectations for the Lions going into the 23 year?
Well, always, I like to dream big. We want to win it all. That's always my expectation. When you come here and for folks that have never been here, this is a storied program in the state of South Carolina. And like I said, going back to Coach McMurray and Coach Keels, they both did a phenomenal job here with building that baseball. Coach Murray, especially from '83 forward, just building a baseball tradition that did not exist before at Lewisville. Coach Keels continuing that tradition and just trying to, do that as well. So we've won a lot of regions. We've won a lot of district championships in the playoffs. We want to win state championships, and that's our expectation every year. That's my expectation when we take the field every year. And that's what we work towards on a daily basis, is what it's going to take to win that state championship. But that, to me, that's always the expectation. Now, you can break it down further than that. I think, in order to meet those goals, every team's different. This isn't the same team that we had last year. That team faced obstacles and had things to worry about that this team doesn't necessarily have to worry about. But then there's new obstacles that this team has to worry about that nobody has. So, it's just kind of tailoring what we want to do for each of our squads. I don't think that, we're going to do some things similar, but this is a different team. So I don't feel like we need to coach them the same that we did last year. Some of these guys are older. I think this group of seniors is going to be the first group since I've taken over to come all the way through the program, from start to finish. They'll be the first 8th grade class to go start to finish, brand new in our program. So looking forward to that. So they have high expectations. They've been here. They were watching when we made runs, when Coach Keels was still here. They were there, when we made the run, obviously last year and the year before we had a good season. They were there for the COVID year when we had a good group that just obviously world events kind of took away what possibly could have been a magical season there. So they've seen the ups, they've seen the downs, and I think we're better for it. We've got a good group of kids coming through right now.
Yeah, you talk about that. I remember when I was playing for Coach Keels at Lewisville, that expectation was there. But he used to say, you want to be playing on or right after Mother's Day, because I think right after Mother's Day was upper state championship or state championship, because we used to have a dinner for all the mothers, and he used to say, we want to practice on Mother's Day. Yep. And people look at it like, what? But that's when you knew that you were at the top at that point.
And it's kind of like, with football, it's kind of the equivalent. If you're practicing on Thanksgiving, that's a great thing, man. Yeah. We're practicing on Mother's Day or we're still a team on Mother's Day, then that's a great thing for our program and our community and our school, and that's what we want. That's our goal, every year. Like, then that's not going to change. And I think the day that we start setting lower standards is the day that, we're setting these kids up for failure, because we want to maintain that highest peak. We've done it before. There's no sense we can't do it again. But nobody's going to give it to you, as we, witnessed last year. Southside definitely was as advertised, and like I said, Coach Freeman, his guys do a good job, and I felt like we gave them a good run game one when we played them, and we kind of ran out of gas game two. They beat us around pretty good, but it was still a good experience. Like these guys a lot of them had never been there, so we got them there. And I only imagine it's going to get tougher now that you add some schools back into the 1A mix, like Christ Church and St. Joe's, who had phenomenal seasons in 2A last year. So I only look for it to get better. But to me, that's what you want. We welcome it in a good way. Like that, we want to see good competition. We want to play good team, because that's how you get better. Not only as a player, that's how you get better at life. Got to do tough things if you want to get tough, and that's dealing with adversity is part of life. And why not learn it now? It's something that you're going to use every day of your life. So why not learn it now? Why not embrace competition right now.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So what do you expect as far as team strength this coming year?
I think, on paper, after, what we witnessed last year, I think offensively we're gonna be pretty good. We've got some of our bigger bats back. Obviously, we graduated Ben Cole, who accounted for a lot of our offense last year. I mean, he led our team in RBIs with 23. None of that sound big, but in 31 games, 23 RBIs, pretty big deal. But a lot of our big bats are back, with Seth Morrow, who led our team in most offensive categories last year. He led our team in runs scored, hits, doubles, triples. So he was a big part of our offense last year, and we're looking for him to be again. Tristan Hall, who had a great year for us at the plate last year, he's going to be a big one. And then we have Trey Smith, who was a sophomore last year, and he was hurt, so I think I got him down. He dressed for 24 games, so he missed 7 games, didn't dress. He only started 19, but in those 19 games, he had 16 RBIs for us. I mean, he batted, 296. Like I said, I'm looking for him to have a big year because, he came on right there at the end last year. And after injury, he stepped in and was a big key factor in our playoff run. So I'm looking for big stuff out of them. And then, we have some other guys that had good years last year that we're also looking for some production out of from offense. I think that's really going to be our strength, for us to hang our hat on. And then, we've got to get better in the defensive department. I think that's been our Achilles heel for the last 4 or 5 years. Although last year we had a better defensive team than we've had in the previous years in our program. But I think that's got to be a point of emphasis for this year is we got to get better at defense.
Yeah.
And I think, pitching wise, we've got, Mara's going to he's going to tote the load for us on the mound. He toted the load for us most last year. Again, the Cole kid is going to hurt, losing, but, we're going to have to lean on Morrow. Jaquan Howes is another arm that we're going to lean heavily on. After looking through our stats, he had the 3rd most amount of innings last year for us. So, and, had some big wins in the playoffs. I mean, he beat Wearsholes and Whitmire in elimination games. So we're looking for a lot out of him. And then Tyler Santner is another one that is going to be a key contributor. We're hoping this year in a lot of ways. He was very good for us defensively last year. Struggled a little bit at the plate. I'm hoping we're going to, get him back where he is, and he's going to have to throw some innings for us on the mound. So, our strength's going to be our offense, I believe. In the past, I felt like it's been our arms, even though we just don't have that one guy that's going to just shut people down. But we do have a lot of strike throwers, so I feel like sometimes if we get into a war of attrition, we've got the upper hand. But we just don't have that one big arm that's just going to shut people down and make them squirm. So, we got a lot of strike throwers, so I feel like that can be something that we can lean towards as well. But offensively, I think definitely it's going to be our big strength.
Well, ultimately in high school, you need those strike throwers because so many times you go out and watch teams and they're throwing guys that can't find the zone. And if you got guys that can find the zone and get outs, because a lot of times there's a lot of teams that'll have their lineups will be top heavy. 1 through 4 will be good, but you see that drop off. So if you got high school hitters to me, get themselves out. So
I think hitters at all levels will get themselves out if you challenge them at the plate. And that's something that we talk about too. Like, hey, if you look statistically, let's just take, for instance, a team that bats 300 as a team. Well, that still means that 7 out of 10 people are getting out.
That's right.
Just by throwing strikes. I mean, you're going to get 7 out of 10 people out statistically if you look that way or look at it that way. So that's still 2 1/3 innings worth of outs just by throwing strikes that you're going to get. So, it is a key part. And I think also when you throw strikes, it keeps your defense involved. Nobody's going to sleep. The fans stay in it. And I know the dugout stays in it. Like, it's momentum, man. And I think that's a key part that sometimes people overlook is keeping that momentum with your team and that energy that they can feed off of, or whatever. So yeah, throwing strikes is a key component. And, over the last couple of years, and I'll go back to the Cole kid as an example. He, pound for pound might have been our best pitcher, not because he had the best stuff or, but he spotted up and he made people swing the bats and beat him. He did not walk a lot of kids. And to me, that's key. And that's something we've got to get better at. We have walked a lot of people the last couple of years. So we've got to do better at throwing strikes, but it is a key component at this level, as at every level.
You're exactly right. So you talked about some of those top returning guys. It seems like you got a good bit coming back from last year that'll contribute a lot. What about some of your top newcomers, whether they're new to the team or coming up from JV?
So a couple kids that I expect this year. He's a newcomer, so to speak, but he's not. I'm looking for big things out of him this year. Kid named Gavin Reynolds. He played for us last year. We had an issue where he was a JV player who was dressing some varsity, and about halfway through the year, we had an issue and we had to bring him up, and he started some games for us on varsity. Played a good defensive first base for us. Bat was lacking a little bit, but I look to, he's worked a lot in the offseason on that. Talking with him, watching videos, and all. So he's working on his bat. So I'm anxious to see how he is. Briggs Lee is, going to be a newcomer. He was a JV kid last year. I don't know if he logged a lot of innings for us as far as, playing. I think he only had 2 at-bats for us last year on the varsity level. I don't think he threw any innings, but I look for him to be a big contributor for us this year. He's had a good summer, works hard, got a chance to be an arm for us on the mound. So I look for big things out of him. And I'm going to go back because I wanted to touch on this. I've got my Xander Vanover, this will be his 3rd year behind the plate as a starter. He is definitely not a newcomer by no means. But he's going to be big for us this year too. Anytime you have a veteran behind the plate, that's big for us from a leadership role, from the field general standpoint. So he's going to be a big key component for us as well.
Yeah, anytime you can get that returner starter behind the plate, that's huge. The guy to handle that staff. Because ultimately, when I played, I thought that was literally the most position on the field, because that's your guy that's leading those players on the field. He's working that pitcher, and that was it right there in high school for me.
And I think, for me personally, I think if you're going to build a high school team, we talk about arms, and listen, I'm not saying that we don't need arms. I think you got to have somebody that can catch those arms, because if you got nobody that can catch them arms, then what good are they?
Exactly.
And he's a kid that has really worked hard, from day one, as far as working his receiving drills and working on, our pitchers. It doesn't hurt when you got a guy like Evan Sisk, who's now AAA in the Twins organization, that comes home and throws bullpens to him during the season. That has really helped him tremendously with his receiving and drills. And he's just one of those blue collar kids that, everybody wants. Like if you had 15 of him, like I could sleep way better at night knowing, what we're getting ready to get into. He's just that blue collar kid, and he's great for us. We got a couple of those. He's one, Luis Rosa, who's probably going to be our center fielder this year. He played left for us last year. Came on very late at the end, had a great season. He's another one. So it's exciting around here.
It is.
Now we might show up on day one and it would just not look very good, and I'll go home and have to fuss at my wife for a little bit, and she'll have to tell me it's going to be okay or whatever. But no, looking for it. It's exciting. I'm happy for these guys. Like I said, this is their 5th year in the program. When we're looking to go off on a good note. So high expectations, which, what more could you ask for? They have high expectations. I have high expectations. So usually that's a recipe for success. Looking forward to it, man.
Well, it'll be good knowing they know those expectations and being hungry from last year after losing the South Side. It should motivate them more to get there again and beat that group.
And it gives us a blueprint. We played, like I said, we played a lot of good teams last year. Our schedule was brutal. I mean, we left no stone unturned when it came to seeking out competition. And more of it was, we wanted to play good competition, but I wanted them to see what great teams look like, how they go about themselves and what they do to win. And we've seen it. I mean, we've been that team. We've seen teams. So we've been on the winning end. We've been on the losing end. But all in all, we've seen what it takes to be a great team and be a competitive team. And that's what I want, at the end of the day. That these guys understand, we can set all the goals that we want to, but if we're not willing to work at it and put in the amount of time it takes to be good at something, then we're just dreaming. It's we're not doing ourselves any favor. So you got to work at it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. You got to go out and you got to earn it.
Yeah, you're right, and that's what they've got to learn, because once if you're wanting to go to the next level, you got to learn that then too. As well as when you're going out in the workforce or going to college, all of that matters. And it's important for them to learn that there.
And another thing that we talk about is and last year's a good example. You can't judge a team on its highest days. You can't judge a team on its lowest days. But baseball is a game of consistency.
That's right.
And so is life. I mean, you're going to have better days than others. You're going to have worse days than others. But it's about consistently work. It's about consistency. Showing up and consistently working hard, giving your best effort, and being able to go home and rest easy, knowing, hey, I gave it everything I had today. There's nothing more I can do.
Yeah.
And taking care of what we can take care of and control, and that's our attitude and our effort. That's the two things that we can control. We can't control anything else, especially in this crazy game.
You're exactly right.
which is what makes it so great. I mean, there's a lot of variables that you can't control, and you shake your head and scratch your head about how are we going to control it. But at the end of the day,
you never know.
You never know.
It just happens.
It does. That's what you got to appreciate about it.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I love the game from the start. Well, hopefully the Lions have another successful year this year, and we get to see you deep into the playoffs again like we did last year. And hopefully you can get some of that revenge against the Sabres this year.
So listen, they ain't just going to let us have it, baby. They're going to give us a good fight. Like I said, I can't say enough about Coach Freeman and his staff. They do a great job. And that, obviously congratulations to them on winning it last year. I can't say that I was hoping it was going to be us, but they did a fantastic job. They were the best team from what I saw in the state last year, and just talking to people. So well deserved. But yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we want to be that team this year that people are like, no doubt in my mind they were the best team, and we want to hoist that trophy. So that's our goal, and as long as I'm here, that's going to continue to be the goal. So, like I said, we'll know come May.
Come May, that's exactly right. That's a long way away, it seems like, but it'll go by quick.
It'll be here before you know it.
That's exactly right. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, Coach, and we hope the Lions have a great year in 2023.
Thank you for having me on, and let me say this: thank you, PBR, for what you do for all our kids in the state. It's phenomenal. We appreciate everything. Thanks for having me again, and I look forward to seeing you guys out and about this spring at some of our baseball games.
Yeah, we'll definitely be out, and we couldn't do any of this without high school coaches throughout the state. So we definitely appreciate y'all as well.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. I thank you.